Ryomen Sukuna, king of curses, king of binding vows, and as we know him, a walking calamity with 4 arms, 4 eyes, a second mouth on his stomach that I like to call the south mouth, and a piece of Groot's ass on his face. I have to say, out of all the Sukuna forms, Meguna is probably my favorite. But before we get to that specific version of him, let's go back to the beginning. Okay, no, not that far back. Yeah, right here. Now of course, this isn't technically the start for Sukuna, but we as readers and viewers got our introduction to the king, well, as a finger. Speaking of, why does he only have 20 fingers? Like, where's his thumbs at? Anyway, there's a few things I'd like to mention here. The first thing, and perhaps the biggest thing about Fingerlina, is the fact of our best boy Yuji being born with a finger sealed inside him. This would give him the strength needed to be a vessel, as well as make him a Cullen Games player. Just a quick side note, I'd like to point out for all the people who blame Megumi for the entire cast of good guys being wrapped up in the Cullen Games, that they would have joined the Cullen Games no matter what in order to help Yuji, being as he's already a player. Now of course they wouldn't have the extra task of saving Sumiki, so I'll give you that. Back to Sukuna. The hunt for Ryomen Sukuna's fingers was the initial objective to push the story. JJK starts and ends with a finger. They're important to not just the story but also power scaler bros. Gotta love those is so and so character X amount of fingers strong conversations. A huge device in the final fight and a major aspect of the final 60 chapters is resonance. Yuji was not let in on the plans or status of certain things because of this, which the first time we see this in action is back in chapter 59, right after Megumi beat the finger bearer. Sukuna, who is nowhere near Megumi at this point, can tell what's going on now that the finger is no longer sealed in the cursed spirit. You may not like it, but it is a part of the universe and makes sense. But it could have used some supplemental writing for sure. The next 3 parts are more character decision based, how he moves or how he operates in the universe. During the Yuji-Kuna part of the story, I viewed him as the most savage of the 3 forms. And what I mean by this is his presentation on panel. Like as soon as he reincarnates, he mentions women and children. He just comes off more barbaric, more demon or curse-like. I believe that is a choice by Gege to really nail home a strong villain impression, because after all he is the final villain. Just to reiterate, he is always a villain and evil. I'm not saying he softened up or became good at any point throughout the story. I'm saying the way he is presented in his other forms isn't as barbaric. The more we get to know Sukuna, we come to understand how he operates, which makes his interactions with people like Jogo and Shibuya easier to understand. But those developments are more fleshed out in his other forms, so as we go through the story we can't help but question and make theories that end up becoming larger than what Sukuna actually turned out to be. I mean, who can blame us for coming up with crazy theories when Sukuna was shrouded in mystery? The black box, how he already knew Arame, his origin, his talk with Jogo, etc. We wanted more, and what we got didn't seem to satiate a large portion of the fandom. Some had different expectations for him as a character, and I get it, but I actually like how Sukuna turned out. I'll talk more about that later though. And I think the most impressive thing about Sukuna as Yuji-Kuna for me was how much more dynamic he seemed in fights. He seemed to take advantage of base Yuji's physical stats. I would like to mention that the anime could also be influencing this, but I do think when you read the manga he does come off a bit more dynamic in Yuji's body. Yuji isn't as big as his 4-arm form, so he's more compact and dynamic in his movements. Where Yuji-Kuna excels in the physical department, Meguna is a savant of sorcery. He displays an unparalleled usage of curse techniques. His efficiency is somewhat comparable to Satoru Gojo's. Mind you, Gojo hit the genetic lottery, born with the 6 eyes. Sukuna was born with 4 regular eyes and half of them are lazy as a motherfucker. Kenjaku may be the best with curse energy on a conceptual level, but when it comes to application of curse energy, no one is better than Sukuna. This face of Sukuna hurts the most. Meguna took so much away from us. He took over Yuji's best friend's body, and that's super important because Megumi chose to save Yuji, and Megumi is the most important person for Yuji to save. That's what makes the end of the final fight so important and Yuji's words to Megumi. Sukuna doesn't stop there. Now that he is no longer in a vessel that acts as a cage, he is free to continue his path of destruction. In this form he kills Ryu Ishigori, who is a fan favorite, and then he kills Yorozu, which she seemingly has more fans than you may think. Like me, I'm a fan. Yorozu may have only been in the story for 7 chapters, but her death hit hard. Sukuna killed Megumi's sister while in Megumi's body. Really think about that. Sumiki was Megumi's only reason for continuing on. Losing her was the same as losing Megumi. This was the biggest impact in Megumi's POV, but for us fans, his next body hurt the worst. The golden boy of JJK, one of the biggest characters in Shonen Jump, Jujutsu Jesus. Sachou Gojo lost his life fighting Meguna. Gojo is basically Megumi's stepdad at that. This face of Sukuna has the deepest impact on us, as well as the narrative. Other than that though, his usage of curse techniques was masterful. I mean, he used some of Ten Shadow's abilities himself without actually summoning the Shikigami. But when he does summon the Shinigami, he doesn't fully summon them. He leaves them with a liquidy shadow form, that way they don't ever get destroyed. He even goes a bit further with only summoning Maharaga's wheel and not Maharaga. This way Maharaga can adapt without ever actually taking damage. We can even look at how he is on the defensive. He uses the shadows to weave in and out of attacks way more fluid and way more often. Those are ways that Megumi could have been using his curse technique this entire time, even without like a large curse energy pool. They're just simple applications. He really showed Megumi innovation of his own technique. All reasons why Meguna is my favorite form of Sukuna. And for what it's worth, this form had the most aura. Now let's just talk about the manipulation of curse energy and using it. Sukuna did everything in Jujutsu like across the board, aside from like simple domain. Hella impressive usage of, yes, binding vows. I mean, let's just be real here. If Nobara doesn't wake up, Sukuna wins. I call him a calamity, but in reality, this is the face of a human, the most human of all the forms. Yes, with the 4 eyes and all, this is the more human Sukuna. It's his execution that lends him that benefit. He stayed true to the end, a curse all the way until death. He told Yuji, if you don't like it, kill me. Yuji did just that. Now in the afterlife, we do see him change. We see him accept that there's another path. It started with him, it ended with him. Alright, that'll do it for the video. I appreciate you checking it out. This one felt good. I miss talking about JJK. If you enjoyed JJK, Kagurabachi, you want to see me talk about anything else, leave it in the comment section below. And remember, stay normie, stay weeb, shit even in between is fine. Until next time, peace.